Welcome back to season 4. Today we are going to be talking a little bit more about the Fibershed movement throughout the United States and across the world. But first, here's what's happening on the farm. Um, the buses are starting to roll out, and school, I think, starts on just a few days from now. Um, so I think we are barreling towards fall. And even though there's going to be a lot more hot days ahead, we are starting to get that feeling that fall is in the air. We are harvesting a lot of tomatoes. So we are making tomato sauce. We make something that we call almost paste because we never can get it down to the consistency of what you would find in a can of tomato paste. Um, so it's almost paste. Salsa we've been making, a lot of dill pickles, bread and butters, and also relishes. So we made sweet pickle relish and dill pickle relish. And so that has been really, really great. So this whole season, I've been talking about fast fashion, what it is, what are this huge consumerism change in our buying habits is doing to the world. And we've been talking about some alternatives to fix our planet and to um, still be fashionable, but to be mindful about that fashion. So let's talk a little bit more about directly about Fibershed itself. So Fibershed had its beginnings in 2010 in Northern California. Rebecca Burgess was a crafter, and she was growing her own indigo, and her indigo experiments kind of started to outgrow her space. And she realized that she would need to get a small farm involved to make the amount of dye that she needed to take to create her textile work. And then, kind of like in a kismet way, part of her indigo plant order was delivered to another farmer who, a vegetable farmer, I believe, and he mistakenly planted them before realizing what they were. So that kind of started this collaboration between Rebecca and this Silver River Dog farm. And then Sally Fox got involved. And for those of you who don't know her, she is an organic cotton grower. She's been growing cotton. She started out in California, and she was the one who got the colored cottons back into production. She was kind of ousted from California because she was growing organic cotton, and because of the color, the the farmers who were raising GMO cotton didn't want her around. They didn't want her pollen polluting their cotton. So then she went to Arizona, and I think now she's back in California. But it's been a long, hard road for her. Just growing the cotton, finding markets for the cotton, and with the equipment that you need and all that kind of stuff. But so Rebecca and this guy at River Dog Farm and Sally Fox got together, and they Rebecca was kind of curious about whether it was possible to make local jeans. So they started the local jean project. And she knew that she didn't have all the skills that were required to do the spinning and weaving and all that kind of stuff to make these jeans. So she brought other people into that project. And that was the very, very beginnings of what is now the Fibershed movement. And it's really similar to the farm to table movement. And uh, it's important, as you know, we've talked about in the previous 9 episodes. It's important to source your textile from your local area as well as sourcing your food from a local area. So Rebecca did write the book Fibershed. It's available wherever you buy books, and it's really a interesting read. And it really got me excited about I do grow my own farm yarn, and I do use humane practices, and I do use practices that are climate beneficial. And how can I be part of this movement? And so, about 3 years ago, I started on this journey of how do I plug into this Fibershed movement. The goals of the nonprofit, now 12 years later, it's really a far-reaching organization. It's evolved from having a local wardrobe, which was the jeans, and then could you make a whole wardrobe that was local within 100 miles of yourself, to a lot of work with environmental concerns and lots of education. They're working with governments, and they're working with brands as well as with farmers and makers. There's a yearly symposium that they do too, and they were doing quite a few in-person um, events before the pandemic. Now, so much of it is available by Zoom. So if you're at all interested, be sure and check out what's available that you can do digitally. So the three big areas are the developing regional textile economy, working with the climate beneficial agriculture, and also education and advocacy programs. So with the regional textile economy, those beginning projects, making those jeans and making that 100-mile radius wardrobe, showed Rebecca just how broken the textile economy of the U.S. is. That we have lost mills, we've lost growers, we've lost the technology, and we're really behind other countries now because we have lost all those things. And Fibershed as a movement is working to build up the regional textile economies so that clothes can be more local again. Mostly right now, this is being done through mapping. Mapping, where are the producers? Where are the mills? What size are those mills? What are the capabilities of those mills? Understanding what it takes um, to fund or to build a regional mill. Just in California was what they were looking at, but that of course can be translated anywhere. And there's a lot of work with local affiliates to understand where more of the resources are, and I'll be talking about the affiliates in a few minutes. So the second goal is the climate beneficial agriculture. So pretty early on, Rebecca figured out that, and her group figured out that in order to work on the greenhouse gas situation and global warming and climate change, we need to be looking at carbon farming, which I talked about in the last episode, working to remove carbon from the atmosphere and putting it back into the soil and into plants that are in the soil. So Fibershed has done a lot of research working with farmers of both plant and animal kinds of fibers, and working to build in more carbon farming practices. And they've really shown that this carbon farming has benefited not only by bringing carbon out of the atmosphere and into the dirt, but it's also revitalizing the natural landscape, especially in California with the severe droughts that have happened, by planting hedgerows and doing and putting in wind breaks and things like that, that you can control erosion. You can reduce fire danger. They're showing in this research that they're increasing plant roots in the soil. So again, working towards reducing that erosion and also getting carbon back into the soil. And they're doing this through education, they're doing it through grants, and they're doing this through model farms. So their education arm, there's so much on their website. There's there's the maps that you can find of producers. There's some marketplaces that are there. There's also a new podcast that Rebecca is doing that's really, really good. The Fibershed in general gives webinars all the time, and there's an annual symposium. The last 2 years, that annual symposium has been digital on Zoom, and I don't know what the plan is for this year. Personally, I hope they continue the digital part of that, because there are so many affiliates throughout America and the world. And so it'd be really great to be able to get together with everybody at that time over the internet. There are newsletters, and there's all kinds of education targeted to all ages. There's some school curricula up there. They're having a mending challenge lately. So there's just a lot of cool information that you can find on their website. And then their advocacy program. So again, they're working with clothing brands like North Face and others to promote having at least some local products made. I think, one brand made a local wool hat. But in order to work with a big brand like that, you have to have, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of fleeces and have a way for those to get into the supply stream. So I think it's going to be slow work, but I think it's going to be really beneficial work. They're also working to lobby governments to take action on microplastics. There is a big bill that's being put forward in California about limiting microplastics, and they're a part of that. And they're also working with the garment worker organizations to promote equity. And in previous episodes, I've talked about the garment worker problem and ways that we can get involved to help them. And then there's the affiliates. So the affiliates are offshoots of the Fibershed organization. And each affiliate has, it's, a local area. It has boundaries that are from 100 to 200 miles in diameter around a certain point of a certain city. There are 45 U.S. affiliates and 13 international affiliates. And each of these is working on in their own communities to build the regional textile economy, mostly, and working on the education piece, the carbon farming piece, but they're also working with each other on projects and giving advice and things like that. So each year, the affiliates do different projects. They can apply for grants, not only from Fibershed, but from other places too. So some of the projects that have taken place are, of course, mapping the individual affiliate area. So putting in all the different alpaca farmers and wool farmers, and putting in the nurseries where you can get native dye plants or dye plants in general. The people that maybe there's a university or a craft school or something like that, and putting all of these into a map so that anyone who comes to that website looking for resources can then find them. Some affiliates have made toolkits, one for carbon farming labeling, one for working with brands and others. In Pennsylvania, they've been working on farming flax. Apparently, Pennsylvania was one of the biggest flax growers in the United States several centuries ago, or not several, but a century or so ago. And so that Fibershed is looking to see, what species or variation works well in their microclimate, and then looking to see what would it take to then have that processed on a commercial level. As we've talked about here in the past, here in the the Mid-Atlantic, we need something more lightweight than wool in the summertime. And so having flax or cotton or something like that that's grown locally is really, really valuable. In North Carolina, I believe, it's either North or one of the Carolinas, they're doing projects looking at how to use kudzu as a fiber and using it kind of like flax, because it would be a long bast fiber that then you can spin. So that's kind of interesting, since kudzu is the plant that's taking over the South. If we could use it in some great way to make clothing and cloth, that would be fantastic. Several of the affiliates have done clothing challenges, like Rebecca's first challenge of 100-mile wardrobe, or one outfit 1 year, something like that. And there's other affiliates that are looking to work with special local wools, in particular, or let's say special local fibers. So I know that in the Switzerland affiliate, they have a special kind of sheep, and they're looking to bring that into the awareness of people, and to be using its wool to make projects with. Also down in South Louisiana, they are working with local brown cotton down there. And so that's kind of cool. And then a lot of the projects also involve, just organizing the affiliate, whether that's to, get their marketing program together, getting their website up, things like that. But so there's all different kinds of projects that these affiliates are working on. And some of these projects may be really exciting to you, and you may want to volunteer to help with those projects in some kind of a way. So I'll just talk about our my local Fibershed, which is the Chesapeake Fibershed. It's 120 miles around the DC Baltimore metro area, and it encompasses parts of Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and West Virginia. I think it's some kind of even extends a little bit into New York. Basically it's following the Chesapeake Bay watershed. It was formed about 3 years ago. It's a totally volunteer organization. And starting this year, we've really had a presence at local fiber festivals to reach producers and makers. We've also started a membership program this year, where you could be a supporter or you could be a producer. And producers are ones who are making products that are totally local labor, local fiber, local dyes. And so there is a special product label that those producers can put on their items. And so our Fibersheds projects it's all started with the mapping. So, we have a map up on our website, which is ChesapeakeFibershed.com. So it's an interactive map so that you can look for different kinds of producers in your area or close to your area. This year was our first, it's not over yet, Lisa. It is the first Sustainable Cloth Challenge. And for this, we wanted to make sure that it was open to as many people as possible. So we called it Sustainable Cloth Farm to Home and Closet. So it didn't have to be something that's wearable. It could be a rug. It could be a table runner. It could be something else that is for your home and not for your body. And there are 3 different ways to participate in that as well, because you can do what we call the embracing stream, which means that everything is indeed local. Or you can do the borrowing stream, which is, you know, noting that not everything is available in our fiber shed. So, maybe you are using a dye that doesn't grow here, or maybe you are using an organic cotton that, and we don't have that in our fiber shed, but everything else is local, those kind of things. And the final stream is the embracing stream. No, re-envisioning stream. I get them mixed up. Re-envisioning, which is upcycling, recycling, taking textiles that are already created and making something new from them. Another project that we've worked on this year is the Natural Dye Journal. Again, the results of that are on our website. If you go to ChesapeakeFibershed.com and look at the Natural Dye Journal, and you will find articles in there for all kinds of local dyes. We've put together dye days where we take 3 or 4 different local dyes, and then we do experiments. Basically, we use, hand spun, we use mill spun, we use wool, we use different kinds of wools, we use different fabrics. So we have some silk fabrics, some cotton fabrics, some linen fabrics, some felting fabrics, and looking and seeing how each of these local natural dyes really works with the different substrates. And we also have bi-monthly meetups that are open to everyone, where we just have speakers that come to talk to us about all different things. And so all of this information is up on that website, and you can go to, if you're interested in the meetup, you can go to the calendar of events, and you can click on there and register to come. It's free, of course, but we ask for registration. So here's your call to action for this time. So check out fibershed.org. And you'll see there that they have a new affiliate zine, e-zine. They're calling it Threading Resilience. And it has 19 of the projects that were done this year by the affiliates. Chesapeake Fibershed has an article in there as well. They are asking for donations to help make more cool projects. So consider making a donation if you can. You can become a supporting member of the Chesapeake Fibershed, again, on that website, ChesapeakeFibershed.com. You can attend, one of our Zoom meetups. That would be great. All of the links will be in the show notes so that you can see how to get to each of those places. And of course, becoming a volunteer or, a enthusiastic supporter is always, always welcome in a volunteer organization, right? So until next time, I know that I'll be making something local with my wool. And so I hope you will too. Happy making.